Enter Karen Mitchell, the HOA president, known for her zealous enforcement of every rule, no matter how petty. Karen had recently developed an obsession with neighborhood aesthetics and targeted what she called unsightly vehicles parked on properties. One morning, I received a terse letter on my doorstep from Karen and the HOA board. Dear resident, it has been brought to our attention that several of your vehicles do not comply with community guidelines. The HOA prohibits commercial trucks, non-operational vehicles, and any vehicle not regularly used or maintained. You are required to remove these vehicles within 10 days or face fines and further action. My initial reaction was disbelief. Some of those vehicles were vintage classics I've restored as a hobby, fully operational and insured. The work truck was essential for my side projects and perfectly maintained. I knew the HOA rules well, and this letter seemed like an overreach fueled by Karen's personal vendetta. What Karen didn't know was that I worked as a Department of Motor Vehicles, DMV official, specializing in vehicle registration, compliance, and legal standards. I understood vehicle classifications, the state's registration requirements, and how they applied to residential areas. I decided to approach this methodically. First, I gathered all my documentation, registration papers, proof of insurance, maintenance records, and photos of the vehicles in pristine condition. Then, I reviewed the HOA's covenants to clarify what was and wasn't allowed regarding vehicles. The rules mentioned prohibitions against abandoned or inoperable vehicles and restrictions on commercial trucks, but were vague on vintage cars and personal work trucks. I drafted a detailed response to Karen and the board, explaining, all my vehicles are fully registered, insured, and operational. None qualify as abandoned or commercial per the HOA definition. My classic cars are parked on private property and maintained as a hobby, which is a recognized exception in many community guidelines. The work truck is used for personal projects, not commercial business. The letter's demands were based on misinterpretation of the rules. Karen replied with a firm stance, insisting the vehicles detracted from the neighborhood's appearance and violated the spirit of the covenants. So I invited Karen and the HOA board for a vehicle inspection at my home. On the inspection day, I led them through my driveway and garage, presenting each vehicle's registration and maintenance history. I explained the DMV standards that determine when a vehicle is legally abandoned or commercial, highlighting that none of my vehicles met those criteria. I also educated the board on how vintage car hobbies are common, legally protected, and contribute positively to community culture. Karen's posture softened slightly as she realized her assumptions had been off base.